And Thabo Daniels produced today's Democracy Gauge feature, and Democracy Gauge acknowledges all South African citizens and is powered by SABC News. Well, from Democracy Gauge, we move on to our next interview, and the Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions movement, or BDS, will protest today at the Johannesburg City Council in Braamfontein, and this over what they say are delays in the renaming of Sandton Drive. Now, the group wants Sandton Drive to be renamed after Leila Khaled, a member of the resistance movement of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. The ANC and the EFF have tabled the motion, and that happened last December, and they argued that it was important for Johannesburg to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine against what they called the oppressive state of Israel. The BDS movement says DA Mayor Herman Mashaba is trying to stall the renaming process. And representing BDS and the Palestine Solidarity Movement, I'm joined now in studio by Alex Mdakane. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you, Ceci, and good morning to the listeners.
So let's start here. Who exactly is Leila Khaled, for those who may not know?
Okay. Leila Khaled is a liberation icon from Palestine. She's well known for, the plane hijacking that took place in 1969 in what was dubbed as the Black September, which was, of course, the fight for the liberation of the people of Palestine, for their self-determination. We remember that the occupation of Palestine began around 1948, and since then there's been resistance internally and externally of the oppression of the people of Palestine. So she's a liberation icon, who's in the same ranks as your Mom Winnies of this world, and she has been here to South Africa, of course, to share her experiences, of the oppression of the people of Palestine.
So why do you believe that Sandton Drive should be named after Leila Khaled, and why Sandton Drive as opposed to any other road?
Before I respond to that question, I must indicate that today also marks what was proclaimed by Imam Khomeini as Al-Quds Day. It's an international day of solidarity with the people of Palestine against the occupation of their land and their oppression. And we believe that, it will be a significant milestone if Sandton Drive is renamed Leila Khaled. We know there's opposition from the Democratic Alliance as led by Herman Mashaba in this municipality. But given our experience with Palestine, given the kind of support that they gave us during our own fight for our own liberation against apartheid, we think it will be a befitting honor to name one of our streets, Sandton Drive in particular, after Leila Khaled.
Why Sandton Drive, though? And some have said that this is sheer provocation on your part, given that you have, amongst others, the U.S. consulate located on Sandton Drive, and also given the vast Jewish population that lives around that sort of area.
Well, we have a lot of Jewish brothers and sisters that support our cause. You remember that 2 years ago we had about 20,000 Jews that marched through the streets of New York in support of the liberation of the people of Palestine. You must remember that the oppression of the people of Palestine is something that is conducted by the Zionist regime in Israel. So the Zionist regime does not represent the totality of the views of all the Jewish people. So we recognize that fact, and obviously, the U.S. consulate being located on Sandton Drive is a non-factor to us. We want Sandton Drive to be renamed after Leila Khaled. This is no provocation against the U.S. The U.S. has other streets that are named after their own liberation heroes, whoever they are. So really, they are at the back of our minds, basically.
So you've accused the executive mayor of the city of Johannesburg, Herman Mashaba, of stalling. Yes. You repeated it again now. Why do you believe that to be the case?
He's been coming up with all sorts of excuses. Remember that the motion was tabled by both the EFF and the ANC, and that on its own constitutes the majority in that council. So it is a council resolution. And it follows process that after a majority in the council has taken a particular decision, that decision must be implemented. But Mayor Herman Mashaba has been using all sorts of excuses, not to implement a resolution. One of his excuses is that one of the political parties submitted a motion that the Sandton Drive must be renamed after Ramallah, which is a city. Our laws do not allow us to do that. We cannot name any of our street after a city that is outside of South Africa. So he has no other reason other than, to implement a council resolution.
Well, the city has cited processes saying that things like public consultation needed to take place. They also cited the question of cost implications in this regard.
Well, how long does it take to consult the South African public? I mean, if you were to go to Alexandra today, if you were to go to Orange Farm, if you were to go to the city center to ask the general members of the public what would they like to see in the two scenarios, they will tell you that we want to see the streets being renamed after Leila Khaled. We have done our own surveys, and I can confirm to you now that the citizens of this city want the street to be renamed after Leila Khaled. So there's no excuse whatsoever. In fact...
What sort of surveys are those that you have done?
Well, we have gone to Hillbrow, we have gone to interviewed certain people within the CBD in Sandton. We have gone to Orange Farm. There's a place called Palestine, named by the late Comrade Chris Hani. We have done interviews in Soweto because we are trying to mobilize society, to pledge their own solidarity with the oppressed people of Palestine. And in our interviews, they've indicated that, we must name some of our landmarks after the heroes that assisted us in our own liberation. So really, he has no reason whatsoever not to rename the streets after Leila Khaled.
So as indicated earlier, the city has also cited that it inherited a backlog of 170 million rand. They also have around 200 informal settlements that they need to look at, and therefore they perhaps feel that the money could be better spent on such projects, infrastructure projects and service delivery, rather than a renaming process.
Well, all projects are budgeted for. There is no exception. We want him to deliver services to our people in Alexandra. We want him to deliver services to our people in any other township that falls under the Johannesburg municipalities. All projects are budgeted for. That cannot be used as a lame excuse. We know instances where the city has, redirected funds to projects that have nothing whatsoever to do with the people. Not so long ago, they were boasting about, a surplus. In the face of so much injustice, in the face of so much poverty, in the face of so many backlogs in terms of infrastructure development. So there is money, but the money is not allocated properly.
So you'd indicated earlier today is Al-Quds Day, but you're also staging a protest today. What are you hoping to achieve through this? Well,
of course, the immediate objective is to get council or the mayor to approve the council resolution and implement it as soon as possible. We want Sandton Drive to be renamed after Leila Khaled. But secondly, this is part of our efforts to highlight, the support that we received as South Africa from countries such as Iran when they embarked on an oil embargo, which had a devastating effect, by the way, on their own economy as Iran when they were fighting for the liberation of South Africa. We want to highlight the ongoing plight of the people of Palestine under the iron fist of the Zionist regime of Israel. And we are basically asking the international community to continue, adding that pressure on the United Nations and the United States of America to ensure that the people of Palestine really do witness their freedom in our lifetime.
So where will your protest be taking place?
It is taking place at the City Council, where Mayor Mashaba's offices are. We are starting at 1:30. We are expecting more than 1,000 people from South Africa and the neighboring countries to join us. There are other protests that are taking place in Gaza today. I know of Tanzania, I know of Nigeria. Those are the ones that I can recall off my head that are taking place today that coincide with this day.
On to a slightly separate matter, but still pertaining to BDS. Your co-founder and director, Mohammed Desai, he was
Yes.
accused of sexual harassment. Can you talk to us about that incident? I understand he's subsequently been cleared, but what exactly happened there?
Well, I'm not at liberty to talk about that matter because there are legal processes that are in place, but I can tell you that the board did appoint an independent investigator to look into the matter, and he was cleared by an independent investigator as requested by, the people that accused him of sexual harassment. Of course, we'll see as the time goes by as to what is going to unfold, but as far as we understand or where we are, he has been cleared by an independent
Who were the
investigator.
accusers?
It's someone from the United States of America. I wouldn't want to mention the name on TV, but like I indicated earlier, it's a matter that is with your law enforcement authorities. In fact, the case was withdrawn or thrown out or something like that. If my memory serves me well, yeah.
Right, just wanted some clarity on that, and we are out of time for this interview. But thanks so much for stopping by and sharing your views with us.